The anger and outrage from the fan base, has that exceeded what you were kind of planning for?
Yeah, good question. I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level.
So in the last century now, you had 27 injunctions over 100 years. You've had 15 now in 2 months. What is the resolution when you have 650 some odd district judges who weigh in on national issues as they affect the executive branch? What would be your position from a very high level as to how this should be handled?
Yeah, I think there are two things going on, and the president is absolutely right to be frustrated and concerned about the way the courts are handling this.
New York Attorney General Letitia James' office is blasting a federal criminal referral, potentially targeting the AG. The Department of Justice is being asked to investigate after the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency claimed that James falsified records for home loans in Virginia. The referral says James listed a Virginia property as her principal residence in 2023, despite holding office in New York. Federal officials also say James misrepresented the number of units at a Brooklyn property and previously listed her father as a spouse for more favorable loans.
And we have a lot to talk about. The general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, man, Nico Harrison, man, he has been giving some dumb interviews, man, about the trade with Luka. I mean, these have been the dumbest interviews I've ever seen in my life. Number two, we're going to talk about the co-equal branches of government and the possibility of judicial overreach going on with these judges, man. And number three, we'll talk about the New York Attorney General Letitia James, man. Could she be in trouble with mortgage fraud? Man, can someone say what you sow, you shall reap? We're going to see what's going on, but let's get this thing. See that thing, baby? Let's get it, and let's go.
We on now, they respect us cause we on now, money up, run the whole town, don't we? This power money can't slow down, money won't slow down. Ooh, we doing a lot, how we got on top. Why they party? I'm in here grinding. Money I'm stacking. Why they rock diamonds? I can't relate to them, ain't my shit common. I set a goal for me 2 or 3 commas. 7 figures, 8 figures to 9 figures. On a slow pace to get rich quick. Same time we just think different. Cause when you make it, it hit different.
What it do? Oh, what's going on here, y'all? Man, why am I frozen? What is going on here? Can you guys see me at all, guys? It is now frozen all of a sudden. What is going on with my camera, guys? Here I come. Don't you worry. Here I come. 1 second. Here I come, y'all. 1 second. Something going on. I got you. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Let's see that better. Here we go. Okay, something is not going. Something is not right. Whoa. What is... Oh, there we go. Yeah, I don't know what was going on, guys, but we are back. Sorry about that, guys. We are back. And I guess this stopped. Y'all, I'm sorry, but this is real time. So something happened to the stuff, man. Don't worry, your partner's back, man. Welcome again for another edition of the Countermove Podcast. By your partner Dale, man. Hope all is well with you and the family. Thank you so much for chiming in with your partner. If you could do me a favor, guys, share. If you could, like and subscribe, guys, if you could, and because this is going to be a really good one. And I get a lot of times, guys, when it comes to what I gotta do, things of that nature. People want to ask me questions. Don't you worry about your partner. Got you. Let me get to it real quickly here. If you want to ask me any questions about any topic at all on this, because this is gonna be a really good topic, do me a favor. You can actually ask me a question on the app Manect, guys, right there. Manect, scan on the QR code right there, or click on the link below in the show notes. You can ask me any question you want about business, finance, real estate, sports, politics, you name it. You'll find me on Manect, guys. Manect, real simple, guys. Guys, let's dive into the topic real quickly, all right? Now, Man, we got a lot of topics to talk about today, y'all. It has been a very interesting type of day for your partner. It's been really good for me. It has been very busy, but in the realm of politics and business, specifically the market, right? This has been very busy for the last 2 or 3 weeks, but politically, it's been very busy, guys. So this is the topics we're going to talk about. Here we go. Baby, here we go. Boom. We're going to talk about Nico Harris. He is the Dallas Mavericks general manager. He has been, I think, the worst general manager in the history of mankind, with the dumbest trade in the history of mankind with Luka Doncic. He's been giving some dumb interviews. We'll talk about that. Number 2, judicial overreach. Man, there's a lot of judges, in my opinion, maybe acting as presidents. We're gonna look at that as well, also, right? We're gonna invite in a constitutional expert to talk about that. Number 3, Letitia James. Is she exposed? And it's really kind of the same thing that she actually went out after Donald Trump with. Man, it's gonna be good. And lastly, how crypto could change the monetary system to the point where it actually allows for the market to boom. All right. Those 4 topics we're going to talk about today, guys. So the first topic, guys, we're going to talk about is Nico Harris. Holy Spirit. Y'all, give me some grace on this one, because I'm a Dallas Maverick fan, guys. So if you could indulge me for a second. Nico Harris is a general manager of Dallas Mavericks. I'm sorry. He was hired by minority owner now, but at the time majority owner, Mark Cuban, and he made probably one of the, to my opinion, one of the dumbest trades in the history of mankind by trading, I believe, probably a top 5 player in the world, Luka Doncic, for basically nothing. Right? I remember when it came through. I was sick upstairs in my guest room. My wife was sick downstairs. My 2 kids were sick as well. We all had the flu at the exact same time. And what was happening was I'm laying down. It's about 11 o'clock at night, and I get that dun from Sports Center. It says breaking news: Mavs trade Luka Doncic to the Lakers. I said, what? And my wife said she heard me all the way downstairs, and I said, you gotta be shitting me. This cannot be real. Is it April Fool's? Like, what's going on here? And y'all, it was real. I ran downstairs to my wife. She was like, wait, what? And she really couldn't believe what actually happened. Now, when it happened, Nico Harris came out, and gave some weird interviews. And I gotta say, in my opinion, it seemed like a weak man, and I mean it respectfully. Weak. And what he's been saying has been kind of asinine. It didn't make no damn sense what he was saying, y'all. So this last one, guys, really kind of chapped my hide, because he made some comments that didn't make no damn sense at all. And it got to the point to where even the Dallas media was like, what are you talking about? This makes no sense at all, what he was saying. Right? So we're going to listen to this interview, and I'm going to respond. We're going to let Stephen A. Smith respond, the GOAT of sports journalism. Stephen A. Smith, we're going to let him respond. So, guys, let's dive in this real quickly, man, if you don't mind, and see what this buffoon is saying. All right, y'all. Here we go.
Luka and the Lakers played tonight. Meanwhile, his former team, the Mavericks, watch from home, and general manager Nico Harrison continues to defend one of the more controversial trades in sports history. He spoke yesterday.
Did the anger and outrage from the fan base, has that exceeded what you were kind of planning for?
Yeah, good question. I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level.
Okay. How in the hell does the sitting general manager of the Dallas Mavericks not know how important Luka Doncic, the best player on the team, was important to the Mavs fans? How do you say this buffoonery on camera? This is dumbassness. This is buffoonery. This is unacceptable. Tone deaf. This guy needs to go. But we're not done. Listen to this asinine stuff. Here we go. Listen to it. Here we go.
But really, the way we looked at it is, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage.
Hey, Nico, big dog. How'd it working out for you, big dog? How'd it working out for you, big dog? Huh? You guys made the playoffs by the skin of your teeth. Got blown up by the Memphis Grizzlies. How'd it working out for you, big dog? And the fans still can't stand you. And the thing about this guy, hiding. He just be hiding in the tunnel. He don't never go sit down as a trade. He just be hiding. Like a coward. Let's keep it going.
Why shouldn't you be fired?
Great question.
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't.
Trash. Garbage. No. How do you trade? We just went to the finals last year. Yes, we got beat by the Boston Celtics. It is what it is. They were a better team. We just went to the finals last year. And you decided to trade away the best player on the squad. Now, don't get it twisted. Anthony Davis is a beast. He is a phenomenal player. And this trade made the Mavericks one of the, if not the biggest team in the league. And to be honest with you, that first 2 quarters they played, oh, man. I was like, wow. But the way you traded Luka in the heat of the night, in the cover of the night, how you did it was so shiesty. Winning is not going to solve this. You have to go. Nico got to go, y'all. Nico Harris has to be fired. He has to go. And I don't think the Mavericks are going to understand this until they begin, that bottom line begins to be affected. Folk are going to protest to get the Mavericks. They are. They are. Because you hurt, like I said, their feelings. They don't seem valued by ownership and Nico Harris. And in these interviews they did, Nico no justice at all. This guy has been the stupidest talker ever. He needs to shut up. Or you'd have a PR person with him at all times say, hey, man, shh, I'll answer. Because he's the worst talker ever. He's horrid. Keep it going.
I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end. And so I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick. I think you add in Rick, the leadership that we have is.
And another thing, how do you have an owner, right, who has no experience running no NBA team ever? None. Hence the dumbass move. You see? See what happens? Dumbassness move.
Is really elite. And you'll see next year when our team comes back, we're going to be competing for a championship.
No, you're not.
All right, Stephen A. Nico on the hot seat and doubling down there.
Look at this.
Okay. How bad are these comments on Luka?
Listen. This is ESPN. This is not TNT. But I'm going to steal a line from Charles Barkley. All of us have known Nico for years. I got mad love for the brother. I don't want him to be fired.
He needs to go.
I wish him all the luck in the world. And I do agree with his comments that if the 5 they've got together are healthy, they possibly could have made some noise.
Trash.
But he looked bad.
Extremely bad.
Saying what he said yesterday. You underestimated, you didn't know how much, to what degree the fans loved Luka Doncic?
Trash.
You underestimated that?
Wow.
Where the hell do you live at? Are you in Waco, Texas or someplace instead of Dallas? What are you talking about? How could you utter those words out of your mouth? That means that you are in some cocoon somewhere. You don't go outside. You don't go to the games, which clearly is not true because he's always there. I'm saying, how in God's name could you possibly say that? Now, there are other general managers and executives that have done horrible jobs. And we have to remember that this Nico Harrison is the same dude that traded for Kyrie Irving, that traded for P.J. Washington, that traded for Daniel Gafford, and that's what got them to the NBA Finals last year. So, he, by and large, he has done a good job. And I want to see Kyrie and AD and the rest of the crew healthy because I think he's right. They would be a championship contender. But you can't say what he said. Talk about being tone deaf. Talk about being clueless and completely removed from reality to say you didn't know how much the fans loved Luka Doncic. I almost fainted when I saw him say that because everything else that he said, rife with credence and credibility, by the way, goes right out the window because you essentially told a fan base you don't know them and you have paid no attention to them since you arrived in 2021 because there is no human being associated with the Dallas Mavericks on earth that should be able to say, I did not know. I did not understand the magnitude in which this city and this fan base loved Luka Doncic. He is a global, iconic basketball brand. Nico's got a history in marketing spanning decades before he arrived in Dallas, which means his MO, his expertise is marketing. His expertise is getting a feel and having a knowledge and an understanding of what an audience wants. And the very audience you represent, you didn't know that their star player was somebody that they loved dearly to that degree? No. That's bad, fellas. That's bad.
Trash.
Marcus Stephen A., I normally take a man at his word. He tells me something, I believe that's what he's saying. I don't believe Nico Harrison is being true. Now, maybe the owner who just bought the team, his family just purchased the team, might not have known. Bro, you see all those 77s lined up in that building. You think they coming to see Tyron Smith that played for the Cowboys for over a decade? No, they coming to see Luka. What do you think would have happened, Stephen A. Marcus? Let's just say for the sake of argument, the Lakers trade a 24-year-old, 25-year-old Kobe Bryant without him requested being traded. The Cleveland Cavaliers trade a 24, 25-year-old LeBron James. How you think the fan base is going to react? Because you're talking about a guy that you didn't trade for. He's homegrown. You watch this man come in as a 17, 18-year-old kid and grow into an adult. You watch Kobe. You watch LeBron. You watch Luka Doncic. Come in as a young boy, grow up into a young man, and the fans adore him. They admire him. He's God there. And you talk about you don't know. Now, there were reports that sources say that Patrick Dumont is upset that Nico, that he didn't properly convey the backlash and the vitriol that would come along with trading him. Yep. Nico Harrison, absolutely. But what Nico should have said, Stephen A. and Marcus, I'd have said, Patrick, I will oblige you. I will trade Luka Doncic. But I want you to understand the blowback, the collateral damage, the blast radius that this is going to impact.
Yep.
I will do what you ask me to do because your ownership, you tell me to trade him, I will find a trade partner. That will be no problem. That's right. But you need to understand what comes along with a move like this. He did not know that the fan base would be up in arms trading Luka Doncic. I don't believe that.
And to be quite frank, like, he's not the guy. His career, he's not the guy. His career is based upon mine. Like, I was a great role player, right? And I was a other. I knew when my role was called to step up and be able to take some heat. Why is he taking all the heat? He didn't make this decision. He doesn't even have the power to make the decision. This decision came from upper management or the coach.
Hold on, player. No. No, this on both of them. Right? No, sir. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. No, sir. No, sir. This is on the ownership and Nico. No, sir. No, sir. they got to take this bath. No, sir. No. This is on Nico and the ownership. This is a terrible deal, trash deal, horrid deal. This is horrible. I'm sorry. The Mavericks. I don't think the Mavericks understand if this is true. Both Nico as well as the owner, Patrick, he needs to be let go. He needs to be replaced. Is what it is. If they did not understand the vitriol that was going to be received back from the fans, we got a bigger issue here. A bigger issue here. What's the bigger issue? You guys don't understand how the fans, the people that you asked to come pay their hard-earned money to come see the players play. You have no clue. Like, well, this is bubblegum popcorn marketing. This is asinine. It don't make no damn sense at all. No sense at all, guys. This is trash, horrid, garbage. Sorry. I believe that the Mavericks are going to lose $1 billion in value. $1 billion. It's what it be. 1B. Yep. Because what they did. Because of the fact that you have Luka was not only a NBA sensation, a U.S. sensation, he was a global sensation. You see how that compounds itself? Local, state, nation, globe. You're going to lose $1 billion in value. Watch. Watch. Congratulations, Nico. Congratulations, Patrick. You guys have given the blueprint of how to take a team from the finals last year to better making the playoffs, right? And you're banking on that winning is going to turn around. Nope. This is the blueprint, guys, on how to ruin a franchise. Blueprint. Congratulations. Take a bow. Books will be written about this because this is trash. Horrid garbage. He needs to go. He needs to be fired. This will not turn around until Nico Harris is gone. The Mavs can't stand him. The Mavs fans can't stand him. It's a wrap. It's over. It's over. It's garbage. It's over. It's a wrap. Sorry. There's no way this is going to work at all. Sorry. And I'm a Maverick fan. So I'm a big Maverick fan. I believe Kyrie got game. Of course, AD is a monster. Gafford, PJ Washington. Excuse me. Who else they got? Maxey in the trade, which is cool. BJ Williams is good. I mean, they have a good team. They do. They have a great team. They do. And you have a superstar. But you don't have a global superstar. I think you only need one piece to get around. One piece. And I believe if they would have waited, worked out a deal to where, hey, man, we may not be able to give you the max deal here, but hey, man, we'll pay you that, but we got to be able to sign this person as well also. I believe that they would have waited and kind of did this the right way. You could have got maybe Kevin Durant, right? Hello? Couple with Luka and Kyrie. Oh, my God. Another big three. Another big three. Bradley Beal, right? Maybe even AD, right? This is bad. This is bad, y'all. This is bad. Praying for the Mavericks because, man, they got hit by a injury bug, man. I mean, they had, at one point, they didn't have no players, almost didn't have no players to even suit up. I mean, there was a black cat running around that organization, and it still is there. So I told you. And Kyrie won't come back to probably February of next year. Next year's done. It's gone. Nope, gone. Unless they get like a Kevin Durant or somebody, it's gone. It's done. We're done. Done. I mean, you probably make the playoffs from a play-in standpoint, and that's it. Is what it is. Is what it is. Sad. Sad. Went from the finals to the basement in 1 year. Trash. Again, they're going to write books about how to tank an NBA team in 1 year. This is a blueprint. Horrid, garbage, trash. Don't make no damn sense at all. At all, y'all. At all. Wow. Boy, I tell you what. Now, all right, guys. Whew. Now, let's go to our next topic real quickly here, guys. All right? Next topic. I'm done talking about the buffoonery called Nico Harris and the Dallas Mavericks. Dumbass people. Now, guys, let's jump into this real quickly. Judicial overreach, man. Judicial overreach. Man, this has been a topic of what's going on right now, guys. And I had to bring in a legal eagle real quickly here, guys, on this about how the conflict that's going between the executive branch and the judicial branch is affecting. Let's walk this. Let's go through a civic lesson. We have three co-equal branches of government. You have the executive branch, which is resting on one person, the president, alone. Every department and employee in the executive branch flows through the president, right? He alone is the branch, alone. Number two, you have the legislative branch, which is the House and the Senate, right? And number three, you have the judicial branch, where all the judges are located at, from Supreme Court, appellate, state, federal, county, you name it. That is the judicial branch. These are in the Constitution, these three branches, and they are co-equal branches. One is not subordinate to the other. They are co-equal with specific responsibilities, right? There's no branch over the other at all. They're co-equal branches of government. This is the reason why you have the title Judicial Overreach, right? Let's dive into this, guys, because it has been it's been real interesting to see how it's going to go. So let's dive into this judicial overreach. I got to bring in my dude. I call him ML. I've been on the show a couple of times too. Actually about 4 or 5 times. ML, my man Mark Levin. We're going to talk about judicial overreach. Let's dive into it. Here we go.
So Woodrow Wilson said the way that you change this society, and effectively, I'll put it in my words, get the barriers of the Constitution out of the way, is to destroy separation of powers. You can't have a human body with organs fighting against each other. This idea of a living and breathing Constitution, that's Wilson. That's the early so-called progressives, a.k.a. American Marxists. They've hated the Constitution. They hate the Declaration of Independence. They do to this day. And he said the way to change the country is from the top down. This massive bureaucracy of experts, look how expert they are, by the way, and judges. Get the right thinkers, ideologues in the judgeships to force upon the people what is in their best interest, whether they like it or not. So I give you the back.
So this judicial overreach is a strategy. It's a strategy. Let's unpack the strategy. Here we go.
Background, MSLSD, here is today. Here is Jeffrey Rosen, constitutional scholar. Go.
Jeffrey, what do you make of the argument we've heard from President Trump, from the Trump administration, but from members of the media that support Donald Trump, that effectively Chief Justice Roberts made a political statement yesterday when he came out and said this, that he was effectively taking the side of those opposed to Donald Trump's deportation efforts. Do you see politics in this at all?
No.
This is the opposite of politics.
Yeah, exactly.
Chief Justice Roberts said that politics must play no role in attempts to remove judges. And in fact, in Chief Justice Roberts' end-of-year report, which was issued before the Trump administration, he decried criticism of judges by both Democratic and Republican partisans.
So stop there. Now, you can exercise free speech. In fact, he likely, I don't know, but the left, their lawyers, their judges will come to the defense of Khalil. Mahmoud Khalil, who has ties, or at least promotes the agenda of these terrorist regimes, who's one of the leaders of a group that calls for the extermination of Jews. But can you prove it? Did he commit a crime? And so you have vandalism going on at Columbia University, where he's been, not even a student there anymore, he's 31 years old, comes into this country 2 years ago, obviously was, when he got the student visa, concealed what his true intent was. Now he gets a green card. And they're chasing Jews, they're threatening Jews. Jews can't go to class. There's all kinds of vandalism taking place, physical assaults, including against police. In other words, there's a January 6th happening there every day. But that's January 6th. You know what it is in Columbia? That's free speech. So they camouflage all of this vile Marxism, Islamism, the fusion of the two as free speech, when of course it's not. But you and I, according to Jeffrey Rosen and the Chief Justice, should keep our mouths shut. Don't you criticize these judges. Excuse me? Excuse me, the government belongs to us. I'll criticize whomever the hell I wish. And if the judges are acting tyrannical, I will certainly criticize them. The same party that's attacking Supreme Court justices, the same party that wants to destroy the independence of the Supreme Court, the same party that wants to expand the numbers of justices so they can control the Supreme Court. Go.
On the basis of disagreement with their rulings. It is urgently important to recognize that the Chief Justice is saying it doesn't matter if you're a Republican, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat. If you disagree with a judicial decision, you appeal it. And ultimately, the Supreme Court has the last word. This is the very, very serious attempt to keep politics out of the judiciary.
Okay, thanks, pal, for nothing.
Here is my question is, I hear this all the time when it comes to the judicial branch. They say, well, the judges or the Supreme Court has the final decision. That's actually incorrect. It depends on the topic, right? Because they are co-equal branches of government. There's no branch subordinate to the other one. Okay? Therefore, and we'll see in a second, because we're going to go into immigration in a second, about how this is beginning to conflict here when it comes to what's going on, the judicial branch reaching into the executive branch itself, right? You have specific roles for each branch, right? The judicial branch cannot reach into the executive branch and say, well, we don't agree with your role, so we're going to tell you how to do your role. That's not how this works. And vice versa when it comes to the executive branch can't say, well, judicial branch, we don't like how you're ruling, so we're going to tell you how to rule. No, that's not how this works. They're co-equal branches of government with their own responsibilities. So this talk about, well, the judge get the last laugh, that's actually incorrect. That is incorrect. They don't get the last word. No, it depends on the context. Let's keep it going.
A judicial decision, form shopping, cherry picking, left-wing Democrat groups, union bosses, they all know where to go. Edicts are issued. Everybody knows what they're going to issue. Ordering a president around. If this is stopped, we lose the country the way Israel's lost their democracy to their judicial oligarchy. This is judicial tyranny. Tyranny is. It could be in one president. It can be in a legislature, Congress. It can be in a judiciary.
Sure.
And it's been all of those throughout human history. No, free speech is our savior. Speak out loudly. I'll see you next time on Levin TV.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.
What's up? So, guys, that's one topic that I want to talk about when it comes to this judicial overreach. I get a lot of the times, well, the judges, they get the final decision. That's actually not correct, guys. It depends on the context. And I'm trying to find, I thought I had a video, but I'm trying to find, I'm going to get fit on it real fast, of there is videos from an attorney talking about this judicial overreach, about, wait a minute, how in the world does this happen? So I'm trying to find it, guys. Give me a sec here. Here we go. Here we go. Stop. There we go. But my computer's moving slow. Now, guys, let's go over here. We looked at Mark Levin. Let's go to another individual that could actually go a little bit deeper in this thing real quickly, guys, about judicial overreach. And it's specific. They call it lawfare against Donald Trump, all right, concerning his rulings. So, guys, let's dive in this real quickly and see. And Megyn Kelly is going to unpack this real quickly, and she's going to talk about. And she's really balanced. She's going to go after Trump and also Democrats as well. So that's why I like her content. She's going to talk about specific cases about immigration of judges trying to tell the executive branch, the president, how to do his job. Literally. Let's get into it. Here we go.
What's crazy Michael, is that you've now got, you had the Supreme Court weigh in twice so far on the Alien Enemies Act, which is Trump's best tool, he thinks, toward getting these people out of here and getting them out fast. And the first one was, this statute is reviewable, but only in a small part. And the second was, and to say, if you want to bring a challenge on.
Okay, let me chime in on that one. Do you see what she said? Trump used a statute, a law that was written by the legislative branch, right? They wrote it, and the president signed it into law. So Trump is saying, based on said law, legislative branch, right? I'm invoking this act to do said executive action. The Supreme Court could say, wait a minute, hold on 1 second. Let's look at this law and see if you're interpreting it the right way. That's how you have a proper check and balance on the executive branch. It's based on the law. The judicial branch, their role is to interpret the law, not to make the law. It's very simple. Dive into this thing. Here we go.
You have to file a habeas proceeding, meaning an objection to whether you qualify as like an actual gang member under his order in the jurisdiction where you're being held. So, not in front of D.C. Judge Boasberg, but in that case, it was in Texas where they had the deportees. And then, secondly, they just waited in on Friday night to say, stop all deportations under the Alien Enemies Act until we can figure out what's going on, which was very sweeping, 7-2. Alito went off the next day. And not a good ruling for Trump, but not a permanent. That's like, just stop until we can address this case on the merits, and it's working its way up. But what you got in the meantime was this decision from this Judge Charlotte Sweeney.
Listen to this.
A Biden appointee, who just ruled that she's certified a putative class, meaning she's given the initial blessing for this whole thing to be on a class action track for all Alien Enemies Act deportees to be part of a class, and said they have to get at least 21 days notice before you can remove them. So she said,
do you see how she, hold on, let's keep going.
Said the Supreme Court didn't say how much due process is enough, but according to this judge, we have to, for 21 days, we got to let these people stick around. This is the worst of the worst. Can you imagine what's going to happen when we get to the ones who aren't additional criminals?
Do you see what she's talking about? Is you have a district judge, she showed a picture of the district judge, came out and said, okay, she certified an entire group as a class. Where does she have authority to do that? Number two, she then came out and said, you have to, before you deport illegal immigrants, which means you crossed the border illegally and you are criminals, right? Apart from that, you committed crimes outside of you crossing the border as a crime. She said you have to give them 21 days notice before you go pick them up. ICE. Now, ICE is a part of the Department of Justice, right? Department of Justice, which is an executive branch department. So she's effectively trying to say, hey, you're subordinate to me, president, but she's basically trying to be the co-president. You have to wait 21 days. You have to give them 21 days notice before you can go pick them up. That makes no sense at all. This is what Mark Levin and I actually believe in, judicial overreach. You have these unelected judges creating law. She cites no law, not one law that this is based on, not one law. Again, the judicial branch is supposed to interpret the law, not make the law. The making the laws is a legislative branch function. Don't get mad at me. Look at the Constitution. It's simple. So what law, ma'am, Your Honor, are you coming up with this mess? She just made it up. Whole cloth just made it up. Let's keep going. Here we go.
I mean, it is preposterous. I mean, the idea that you're going to have ICE roll up and give this 21-day notice, which is like you have 3 weeks to disappear from here and find a cousin in another state to stay with until we lose you again. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. It's basically lawless. I understand. I understand a little bit why some Democrats and some judges are alarmed by the use of this act. Whether it's really proper to consider illegal immigrants, part of a hostile invasion, in the laws of war. I understand that reticence, but you can't just make up law like out of nowhere and invent judicial process from nothing. But we've seen this over and over again, this judicial brinksmanship under Trump that is absolutely destabilizing to self-government. It's not.
All right, this guy's a little bit boring. So again, this is what's going on. Now, that's not the only judge. Let's go to another judge real fast. Another judge, guys, that comes in. We got to bring in another legal eagle. All right, here we go. Another eagle. Let's look at another judge. They're just coming in. Y'all just coming in saying that this is what I say. So it is what it is. Again, you have the legislative branch trying to tell the executive branch what to do with the policies that are actually in the executive branch. That makes no sense at all. Here we go.
You know what that judge said, Boasberg, by the way, when the court came down with that decision a few days ago? I'm not letting go of the case yet. Now, this is the guy who wants to hold people in the Trump administration in contempt for not complying with his verbal order, which is supposed to be in writing to give proper notice to the people that you insist follow your order, and now you want to hold people in contempt. This guy is a whack job. These judges have been issuing orders like they're handing out lollipops at a fair.
Yeah.
And temporary restraining orders, injunctions, it's coming. So they don't even really know the cases. They're getting very little on the cases. And what the court has said basically in 3 cases is you pulled the trigger too fast. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, on some of these issues, it's likely that the government's going to succeed in the end, not the petitioner. Number three, you don't even have standing in one of the cases. In the Seattle, Washington case, you have a union that comes in and talks about what's going to happen to the whole country and all the national parks. Well, that's not standing enough.
Correct.
So that's a problem. This guy Boasberg, the worst of the bunch in Washington, D.C., turn the jets around, turn the planes around. Didn't you hear my order? I was yelling.
What authority, again, what law, Judge Bozeman, are you leaning upon to interpret to tell the executive branch, i.e. the president, what to do with its executive powers? What law? In almost all of these rulings, there is no law being cited by the judge. It's just they put it out the behinds. They're just creating law out of whole cloth. So if that's the case, judges, it should be cool for the president, the vice president, the whole cabinet, all the deputies of the cabinet, every single employee of the executive branch should walk into every single courtroom and say, you know what, Judge, we don't agree with your ruling, so we're going to overrule your ruling and say that this person can go free. You know how you see how dumb that sounds? Because it didn't make any sense. Because the executive branch cannot go into to the judicial branch and say, hey, we don't agree with how you are operating, so we're going to tell you what to do. That's no, you can't do that at all. It didn't make any damn sense. Keep going.
As loud as I could. No. What they say about him, they said, Judge, you're not even the right jurisdiction. These people were in Texas. Man. Why are you handling this case?
Correct.
So they're addressing form shopping in their own way. They're addressing the lack of standing. But think about that. You're a federal district judge. You've been there a while.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even require standing. You're so desperate to rule a certain way. Or you know it's not even in your court's business. Correct. It belongs in Texas.
Correct.
But you know what that judge said, Boasberg, by the way, when the court came down with that decision a few days ago? I'm not letting go of the case yet. Now, this is the guy who...
So hold on. So Judge Bozeman, the one that we just saw, after the Supreme Court made their ruling, right? The judicial branch, right? This Bama says, I ain't letting it go. So he's violated his own superiors in his own branch. You see how dumb this is? This is stupidity. This cannot survive. And that's a strategy. The strategy is for the branches to conflict. That's the strategy in this context. Right? In this context, that is the strategy right there. It's to slow down this process of deporting illegal immigrants, right? And they'll say due process. Was it due process when they came in and crossed over the border illegally? No. We should get the exact same thing sitting their behinds out. See how that works? No due process coming in, no due process going out. And another thing, how in the world do these illegal immigrants have more rights than the tax-paying citizens? It didn't make sense to me at all. It does not make sense to me at all. Let's keep going. Here we go.
Wants to hold people in the Trump administration in contempt for not complying with his verbal order, which is supposed to be in writing to give proper notice to the people that you insist follow your order.
So now this Bama, what he wants to do now, he wants to hold the lawyers that work for the Department of Justice in contempt because they didn't follow his order, even though his order has no legal authority, no law cited that he's interpreting to come up with his order. He just made it up. Just made it up. Just woo. Yep. All the time. Just made it up.
Order, and now you want to hold people in contempt. This guy is a whack job.
Trash.
A radical. And he's angry. He's angry. He's got anger issues. And so the court says, Judge, it's not your case.
Correct.
It belongs in Texas, which should have been obvious from day one to the judge and was. And he says, okay, I'm not letting it go yet.
Wow. You hear that? Y'all hear that?
I posted immediately the Department of Justice should get a mandate, and so I'll explain that in the middle, either in the appellate court or the Supreme Court immediately. A writ of mandamus is an order. It's Latin, but it's an order that the government must act, or a government official must act. They must basically uphold their duty and do X, Y, Z, or do something.
Correct.
And so I felt they should have filed that. For all I know, they will file it by the time this program's over. We've given a lot of free public advice, and I think
So now you have a district judge violating the Supreme Court because he just doesn't want to let the case go. So he's two middle fingers to the law. I make the law. That's not your function, sir. Your function is to interpret the law, not to make it. We have a branch for making laws called the legislative branch, House and the Senate. Is that judicial overreach? Hell yes, it is. Not based on what I'm saying. They're making up laws, putting out their ass. What they doing? How do I come to the conclusion that they're making up laws? If the judicial branch's role is to interpret the law, whenever they rule, there has to be a law that they are interpreting it from, that they're getting this ruling from. Right? There has to be a law saying, I don't think that you're interpreting this law the right way. XYZ. So because of that, I'm going to rule this way. Because your role is to interpret, not to make. The executive branch enforces the laws. The legislative branch makes the laws. The judicial branch interprets the laws. Those are the roles. Real simple. Not hard. Not hard at all, guys. Whew. Man. Now, guys, let's switch it over real quickly here, guys. Yo. One check. Here we go. Now, guys. Man, Letitia James. Oh, Letitia. You know, the New York Attorney General may be in some trouble, y'all. And it's maybe the same thing she went after Trump with during the campaign season. Man, she may be in trouble. So now what we're going to do is we're going to listen to what she may be in trouble about, right? And then we're going to bring in another legal eagle, right, to unpack this for us, right? Let's dive into this here because, y'all, she may be in some serious trouble, y'all. Let's hear what's going on real fast, y'all, all right? Here we go. Come on now. Here we go. All right.
New York Attorney General Letitia James' office is blasting a federal criminal referral, potentially targeting the AG. The Department of Justice is being asked to investigate after the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency claimed that James falsified records for home loans in Virginia. The referral says James listed a Virginia property as her principal residence in 2023, despite holding office in New York. Federal officials also say James misrepresented the number of units at a Brooklyn property and previously listed her father as a spouse for more favorable loans. A spokesperson for James released a statement reading, Attorney General James is focused every single day on protecting New Yorkers, especially as this administration weaponizes the federal government against the rule of law and the Constitution. She will not be intimidated by bullies, no matter who they are. Joining us for a closer look at the referral is legal expert Nicole Brennecki. Nicole, thank you for joining us. This referral comes after James launched a civil fraud trial into the Trump organization. Do you anticipate action from the DOJ, including criminal charges?
Good afternoon, Sydney. Thank you for having me. I think we all remember the big, bold civil fraud case that she brought against Trump and prevailed. And she has built her entire career on exposing deception. So right now, it's a very problematic situation for her because she's being accused of the same act that she accused Trump of. And I think there is a high probability that they will go after her. Wow. Civil fraud is when you sign a declaration or make any statement to obtain some favorable outcome, some benefits of any type. So in this particular case, it would be more favorable mortgage terms. If that is proved, then that constitutes civil fraud.
Wow.
So the referral mentions other mortgage fraud cases involving public figures in other parts of the country. Does that precedent hold any weight?
Precedents hold weight in terms of federal law. So if this is prosecuted as a federal act and these prior acts were also federal, then it definitely holds a precedent because it pertains to the same statutes.
Wow.
Now, some of the allegations are decades old. Are there any statute of limitations on mortgage fraud cases?
Yes, there are statutes of limitations on all types of fraud cases because time passes and witnesses disappear, documents disappear, and memories wane. So there is a statute of limitation. I think that is why that last instance where she allegedly declared her husband, her father, her husband, that was mentioned the last in the letter because it's just, I think, inflammatory at this point because it was so long ago.
Okay, Nicole Brennecki, thank you so much for your insight.
Well, guys, man, that's a lot going on with Sister James now, Sister Letitia James now. So she may be in some trouble. May is the key with May. All right. So now, guys, let's go over here to another legal eagle. Let's go to pack it a little bit more, guys, real quickly, and we'll see what he has to say. You know, Jonathan Turley is a good attorney. So he's a libertarian, centralist, which is good. Let's get what he has to say as well. Here we go.
It's important that attorneys general representing our respective states stand up and enforce the rule of law. The president of these United States is not above the law.
No matter how rich, powerful, or politically connected you are, everyone must play by the same rules.
Please sue him for us.
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the
So, that sounds familiar. Yep, that's her. She was very, very bold in those states in what she was saying as well. Also, let's see what Don had. Let's see what John had to say. Here we go.
And now the Trump Justice Department may be a pain in her you-know-what. The Angle has obtained shocking allegations leveled by the Trump administration against New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Federal Housing Finance Agency has sent a criminal referral to the DOJ accusing James of mortgage fraud. In a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Bill Pulte says James appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. He cited a property in Virginia that she's allegedly claimed as her principal residence and a property in New York that she claimed as a 4-unit structure instead of the required, instead of a 5, which Pulte says means she was able to get a different type and more favorable loan.
Wow.
Joining me now is Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor and law professor at GW University. Jonathan, mortgage fraud is rampant in the United States. There's all sorts of fraud that's rampant. There's disability fraud that they've vowed to crack down on in the Trump administration. But this is another thing that they have vowed to crack down on because it costs real money. Your reaction to these allegations?
Well, obviously, the irony is perfectly crushing. This is a person who prosecuted Trump for everything short of ripping a label off a mattress. And among the charges that were brought in New York, in not just the civil but the criminal case, was making false or misleading statements to financial institutions. And one of these sections, Section 1014 of the federal code, is prosecuted. It took me about 60 seconds of a search to find cases that the Department of Justice brought against people who falsely claimed that property was their principal residence in order to get loans. So this is well-tread areas for the Justice Department. As for James, if we apply the Letitia James standard that she created, there'd be little question here. This seems pretty straightforward. What the administration is saying is this was not her principal residence. In fact, as a New York elected official, she had to say that her principal residence was in New York. This was an out-of-state residence. But also, they claim that in some of these forms, she actually states that her father is her husband in order to file as a married couple.
Wow.
So there's a lot of those questions. And as you know, the Supreme Court just stated earlier in March in a case called Thompson that they want to see knowing false statements under sections like 1014, not just misleading statements. These are misleading statements. Either it's your principal residence or it's not.
Or it's not.
Either you're married to your father or he's your father. So they can this can satisfy the Thompson standard.
Sure.
Yeah, well, Jonathan, we reached out to the DOJ, and they have no comment on this referral. We also reached out to Attorney General James, who did not respond to us either. So, again, everyone wants the best interest rate you can get. I understand that. But, she's a lawyer. She knows that when you sign a mortgage application, that mortgage application, if you're borrowing money, if you're not borrowing money, nobody cares whether it's your principal residence, except, where you file your taxes. But sure. She decided to state that that was her principal residence, knowing it was not her principal residence. I didn't even know she had property. I mean, I guess she had property in Virginia and she has rental or investment property in New York. That's fine. But in the New York matter, to get the favorable rate, the building could only have 4 units. But it looks like the entirety of this building, it had 5 units.
Wow.
Meaning it was in violation of the actual loan agreement. And again, this is not a novel application of the law, Jonathan. As you stated during the persecution of Donald Trump, she was using all these novel applications of law to go after him. This isn't novel. This is a black and white issue. You either did or you didn't.
Correct.
Right, and this has been prosecuted in the past. Now, we have not heard her side of this, but these documents themselves are quite damning. It's hard to see how the residences listed were her principal residence. The business about her father is just bizarre. Now, I'll note that one of the things that Letitia James stressed in her case against Trump is that Trump had to review documents that were filed in his name. And so she dismissed the argument that this was something that Trump's people put together. She said he's ultimately responsible. So they allege that she gave a power of attorney in a couple of these instances, but according to her own standard, that's not enough.
Well, Professor, the referral cites the case against the former Baltimore City prosecutor, Marilyn Mosby, because she was sentenced to a year in home confinement for lying about her finances to make early withdrawals from retirement funds during COVID, and then fraudulently claimed that her own $5,000 was a gift from her then husband as she closed on a Florida condo. So the idea that again, this is just no one ever goes after politicians for these types of, which may seem like small amounts, and they add up.
Sure.
They do, and this is really for James, the very case that she most famously brought. She insisted that these technicalities matter and that the powerful should not be given a free pass. Well, that bill has come due in this case. She's going to have to deal with this filing. I'm honestly just not sure how you defend against this unless you say that these are fraudulent documents.
Correct.
Jonathan, I have to raise this because the Democrats, when this.
So, guys, it is very evident that she could be in some trouble here. Again, I'm not an attorney at all. I'm just a lay person. But it seems to be that she is maybe in the same trouble. She may be maybe guilty of what she was accusing President Trump of doing. But the difference between her and President Trump is she had to really come up with a novel way of looking at a law and then stretching it and then pulling it and then twisting it and get in front of a favorable judge to get a ruling on this. Because remember, Trump's case did not go in front of any jury. It went in front of what? One judge. One judge. And he ruled that Mar-a-Lago is not worth $100 to $200 million, even though the appraiser said so, right? He ruled that he went by the tax assessor value, which even the Palm Beach tax assessor came up and said, you can't use that at all because that's not how you determine what values is. And this judge knew that as well as Letitia James, she knew this as well also. But they ruled that Mar-a-Lago was worth $18 million, and it was laughable because the land next to it, it was vacant land, was worth, I believe, $100 million. The land next to it, right? It's laughable. It is laughable, that whole thing. It didn't make any sense to me at all, but it seems to be that she's maybe guilty of the exact same thing that she accused President Trump about. Interesting. We're going to see how this goes. Wow. This one kind of shocked me. It really did. But hey, we'll see how it goes. Now, I call this the bounce back side, guys. Now, I have to go in and talk about finances, guys. I got to do it. I got to do it, guys, because of the fact that we got to talk about finances with the market. Y'all come to me talk about come to me for a lot of financial stuff as well. Also, we got to do this here. I'm about to bounce back. This is the bounce back section of the podcast, guys. It's how crypto could change the money system. Everybody's been talking about the market. The market, tariffs. Don't you worry. Could it be that from a liquidity standpoint, Trump formulating or putting together, basically mimicking the financial money reserve scenario, right, via cryptocurrency could add $5 trillion to the market? Let me say it again with my chest. $5 trillion to the market. That's good for real estate, good for mortgage rates, good for government treasuries, good for stocks, bonds, mutual funds, good for 401k, IRA, 403b, TSPs. You name it, is good for all of that. I got to bring in my partner real fast, my man Mark Moss, about this, man. He gonna dive into us real quickly, guys. We're gonna get in, we're gonna get out, and that'll be it, guys. Again, this right here could change the game. This could change the game, guys. Let's dive into this thing real fast. Here we go.
A liquidity tsunami is coming, a $5 trillion wave about to hit Bitcoin and stocks. But right now, they're staring at Trump. They're staring at the tariffs. They're staring at the headlines. But they're missing the real driver behind markets. It's quiet, it's hidden, and it moves prices with a 3-month lag. And if you miss it, then you're just replaying the Q1 crash.
Yeah.
But if you catch it, you're perfectly positioned for what's about to unfold. I'm Mark Moss. I've spent years breaking down macro trends, Bitcoin cycles, and in the next 8 minutes, I'm gonna show you exactly how this liquidity wave works, the key signals to be watching, and the crucial piece that everyone else is overlooking. So let's go. All All right, so we're going to jump right in to show you what the undercurrent is that's driving markets. Because, of course, we're all worried about Trump and tariffs. And, of course, I've been doing lots of videos on that because it's very important. But if you watch those other videos on tariffs, and what I've been saying is that tariffs isn't really the objective. It's a lever to get other things done, some really, really big things done. If you missed those videos.
Again, leverage is the key. Trump is using tariffs to leverage for other things. Right? This is the reason why I keep talking about how crypto could change the money system, right? In a positive way. Let's get into it.
We'll link to them in the description down below. Just go watch them. All right. Now, they are a lever to make something else happen.
Correct.
But really, there's something underneath the undercurrent that's really driving everything. But let's just start here. The first 100 days of Trump's term. Here we are in the first 100 days, and it has been turbulent, to say the least, right? Lots of noise. Maybe he's an idiot. Maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe, we don't know. But what we do know is that we've seen 10 days and $10 trillion market swings. So we've been seeing massive volatility as things go up and down, as Trump is basically trying to reorganize the entire global monetary system. Not a small feat. Now, we can see.
Now, why would Trump want to do that? Why would he want to basically restructure the entire money supply of money globally? Very simple, guys. Is in the last 5 years, the U.S. has printed 40% of the currency for the United States in the last 5 years. 40% of the currency has ever been printed has been printed in the last 5 years. That includes Trump's last year in office. So therefore, if you notice, Trump and the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell have been at odds. Of course, Trump wants him to cut the rates. Fed Chairman Powell says, no, I need to see some benchmarks being met in the marketplace before I feel comfortable with cutting the rates. And I agree with the Fed Chairman. I do, because of the excess printing. So Trump's play is, okay, how can I get the economy moving so that I can get the rates cut to meet what the Federal Reserve is talking about, but not expand the money supply? In steps cryptocurrency. Let's dive into it.
See that in that time, I put this green mark here. We can see the markets came all the way down, came back up, went down, went back up, and currently right now, they're down about 10%. This is the S&P 500, down about 10%. Now, with all of this happening, and he's an idiot, and he's wrecking the economy and all these things, we're down 10%. Now, just for a little bit of historical perspective, here we were down 10% here we were down.
And guys, again, whenever you're trying to change course of a company, and I'm going to use company in the example when it comes to this, because America it's a business model. It's a business. Whenever you're changing, whenever you have a new CEO comes in and wants to change the direction of the vision of a company, the first thing we look for is, where are we bleeding cash at? And how can we plug those holes? Where can we actually short sell some stuff to be able to raise some capital internally before we look outside to raise capital? Right? So whenever Trump is doing this tariff play, I am not surprised at all that there is some short-term pain. Because whenever you are running a company and you're trying to turn it around, right, from a positive standpoint, there are going to be some pain points that you're going to have to go through. It's normal.
6% here we were down 10% here we were down 10% here. You see, 10% isn't all that uncommon. So we're seeing that, but yes, it has been volatile. It's been back and forth. But here's the thing. While that has been wiped out, there's an undercurrent that really shows us what's really going on. This is what you need to know if you want to navigate these markets. Okay, so if you really want to navigate these markets like a true pro, then you need to know what you're looking at. Now, if you've been watching my videos for any amount of time, then you know I always talk about liquidity. Liquidity is what drives asset prices. So we want to keep our eyes on liquidity. So let me show you what I'm talking about. In 2024, last year, before Trump took office, in the last quarter 4 of 2024, we saw declining liquidity. Liquidity was draining out of the system, and that pushed asset prices down. Now, for the first quarter of 2025, quarter one, we've seen rising liquidity. All right, now I'm going to use a bunch of charts from Michael Howell. I want to link to his newsletter down below. I subscribe to it. It's a paid newsletter. I'll link it down below if you want to subscribe to it. I've had him on my show. Actually, we'll link to the interview of me and Michael down there as well. Great work. But what we can see here is, here's 2024. And what we can see here in September of 2024, we had a high of global liquidity at $175 trillion. $175 trillion. And what we can see is through the end of 2024, we went from 175, 173, 172, 171. Liquidity was draining out of the system. And you're like, but Mark, that is last year. We're talking about the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Okay, we'll come back to that. So liquidity is draining down. Then here we have 2025. And we started January with 171, obviously carrying over. 171. 171, 172, 172, 172, 172, 173, 174, 174, 176. Liquidity's been going up.
Exactly.
Now you're saying, but Mark, I don't understand this because you're saying liquidity went down last year, but the price has been going down this year, but you're saying prices are going down when liquidity is going up. I don't understand what's going on. Well, let me break it down for you. So we have $176 trillion of global liquidity as of last week per Michael Howell. That is a positive gain of $5 trillion, hence the title of the video, $5 trillion tsunami. $5 trillion year to date has been added. That's how much it's gone up.
Wow.
The reason why you're not understanding the linkage is because there's about a 10 to 12 week lag in between that. So liquidity draining out in Q4 of last year, we saw the impacts of it in Q1 of 2025. Mostly towards the end because of the lag.
Correct.
All the liquidity we've seen rush in this year, this first quarter, will be seen next quarter. And we're starting to see that.
Watch.
Let me show you a couple charts here. So here's a couple more charts from Michael Howell. And here we have global liquidity mapped out from June of 2021. We'll just put 21 right here. Now, I started using this chart right around here. If you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know that when the whole world was going to end and everyone needs to get out of the markets back in 2022, because it was the low right here, I started making videos. Go check out my channel. I said, there is no market crash coming. Here's why. It's time to start buying. Here's why I'm buying new assets. And it's because I understood this. And since then, the markets have been on an absolute tear. Because that was the bottom of liquidity.
Correct.
These things typically move in a 4-year cycle. So we've had about 4 good years of runs. Nothing goes up and down in a straight line, obviously. We've had 4 good straight years of runs. Now, let me zoom in a little bit and look a little bit closer. I want you to see this. So here's what we have now over the last year. So what we had is last year, 2024, the last quarter, liquidity was draining down. And the first quarter of this year, it's going up. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see this. And this is what we're talking about, the $5 trillion that we'll see next quarter. But let's just take a look at this and see how else we can see this data. So here is the Dixie, the dollar index, and it measures the dollar against other currencies. Now this goes back until 2019. And what we can see is that the dollar got stronger into 2020, then it got weaker, then it got really strong into 2022, which is when liquidity
was low,
drained out, and asset prices crashed. And then as the dollar got weaker, liquidity went up, asset prices went up, we chopped back and forth, and you can see as of right now, Q1, well, let's look here. Q4 of last year, I'll write that here, Q4 of last year, draining. Q1 of this year, it's been going down.
Correct.
Which means liquidity has been rushing back in. Now, we can see this in asset prices if we look at Bitcoin, for example, right here. Same time period. So we can see when the dollar index went down, liquidity went up, Bitcoin went down. It dropped down. We can see here that last quarter, as the dollar index got stronger, liquidity went down, Bitcoin dropped with it. And now, we can't really see it here, but now Bitcoin has made a big turnaround. I think it's up 10, 12% in just like the last 2 days.
Correct.
At the time of this recording. And you can see the same thing in NASDAQ. Over the same time period, you see the same movement as the dollar and the global liquidity moves up and down. The prices come up, it drops down, and now we're starting to revert because that first quarter liquidity is just starting to come into the system. Gotcha. For example, Bitcoin is similar, except for it's a fixed supply, not a scarce supply, right? There will never be more than 21 million, which makes it much more sensitive. Not to mention, not just because of the scarcity, but also because of the size of the market cap. It's much harder to move a $14 trillion market cap than it is a $2 trillion market cap.
Correct.
So we can see that Bitcoin is very similar, except for in this case, it's also much more sensitive because of the liquidity and the overall size. And again, we have the global liquidity in the orange line right here. And we can see how we're ticking up right here, but the Bitcoin price hasn't responded yet. Why? Oh yeah, because there's a 3-month lag.
Exactly.
So this right here in January, we'll start to see right here. in April. And we already have. We've already gone from about 80 to over 90,000 in just 2 days. So we're starting to see this moving in really, really rapidly. Now we can see this. Here's another chart from Raoul Paul.
So again, guys, if you're not following Mark Moss, follow him. He's a phenomenal guy. He's all things crypto. He's my crypto go-to guy. He's phenomenal. Now, what is the reason why I like you talk about the lag, 3-month lag, which is fine. Where would that $5 trillion come from? Where did it come from? It's very simple. It would come from Bitcoin. That's what it would come from, guys. Bitcoin. That's what it would come from. Bitcoin is the reasoning why the $5 trillion is coming in. Because if you look at Donald Trump and what he's doing with his Commerce Secretary and the Treasury Secretary, both of these guys are experts in crypto and markets, right? They are. If you don't know about this, go watch the previous Countermove podcast where I have a specific podcast about cryptocurrency, just about it. Go watch it, right? And you're going to explain what President Trump has set up to expand the money supply without expanding the money supply. This is where this $5 trillion is coming into. It is the expansion of the cryptocurrency, not new coins being made. It's the leveraging of the coins. In other words, Trump has 2 federal reserves when it comes to cryptocurrency. He has one for cryptocurrency and one for Bitcoin, 2 of them, right? Those are being funneled through the banks, just like when debt is made from the Federal Reserve, right? From the IOU over to Treasury, and the Treasury then flows it through the banking system. And now presto, money's been made, and it's debt. So the banks fractional reserve lend to us. We buy our houses, cars, credit cards, investments, things of that nature. We buy it with that leveraged capital. The same play is being done also when it comes to cryptocurrency. 2 reserves, like the Federal Reserve Bank, that flows through the banking system, right? Because the bank actually has their own coin as well also. But the dollar is backing those coins because the government is saying now, we used to be at odds with cryptocurrency. Now we're shaking hands with it now so that we can now leverage. We don't want you to sell your Bitcoin at all. What we want you to do is we want you to leverage it, right? Create debt. So effectively, he's creating debt out of nowhere, right? Well, not nowhere. He's really leveraging Bitcoin via the banks, right? And money's flowing through the banking system. That's all they're doing. It's creating money without creating money. Creating money without printing new money. That's all he's doing. Now, why is this so wonderful? In my opinion, it's because of the fact that out of 95% of all the cryptocurrency transactions are done via the U.S. dollar. 95%, which means the U.S. owns crypto, and they've pushed out those offshore, the offshore players that platforms that actually house Bitcoin or trade Bitcoin on. They're pushing it out because the U.S. government now is in love with it. That's what's going on. If he is able to do this successfully, how does it benefit you and I? Well, it forces the banks to be in competition for our business so that we get the best products, the best loans, the best rates, right? For us to be able to buy those cars we want, buy the homes we want, buy the investment properties we want, right? Leverage to play into the market, right? That's what he's doing. And also it would drive down, it would generate the economy in such a way that what will happen is the Fed chairman will begin to see a good positive traction in the market. So therefore, what does the Fed chairman do? Cuts the rates. Now that is cheaper now for businesses and for lay people. Simple, not hard. All he's done is created a new asset on the government's balance sheet for them to leverage. That's all he's done. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant play, in my opinion. Phenomenal play, guys. Well, guys, man, that's all I had for today, guys. Real quickly, guys, I'm asked a lot of the times, if you don't know who I am, again, my name is Liddell Buggs. I'm a real estate development and private equity finance. I own a lot of real estate nationwide, and I do a lot of private equity investing. And a lot of times I get a lot of questions concerning, hey, Liddell, can you train me in real estate? The answer is always yes, I can, but I believe doing it in a different way, guys. And I got a surprise for you guys. Number one, guys, I believe in order for you to be successful in any business or real estate, you have to have the right strategy, the right community, wise counsel, and the right strategy that only comes with the right community, right? So what we want to do is we want to give you guys a free ebook, right? You make money in real estate when you buy, not when you sell. Okay. Whenever the interest rates are higher, you have to become a better negotiating hawk to drive the purchase price lower. This is the reason why I like buying properties below wholesale. Right? I love doing that. So that I create my own equity. I force the equity play. Right? That's all I do. Well, the secret to this thing is in this ebook. It's called Distressed Property Investing, right? It's how to find, right? Vet, right? And structure your first or multiple distressed properties in your city, county, or state, right? And close on it. Matter of fact, guys, we get so many deals right now. We're actually designing for us right now what we call our Cash Flow Club Pro deal flow board, right? We can't buy all of the distressed properties. We cannot, our team. So we want to actually bless you guys with gaining access to our deal flow. A deal may not work for us, but it may work for you. That doesn't matter unless you know how to locate distressed properties around the numbers right way. So scan on the QR code here below, right, on the screen, or click on the link below in the show notes for you to download the free ebook. It's free. It costs you a dime at all. Or if you can't do none of those, guys, no worries. No, your partner got you. DM me the word real estate, right? And my team will get you out the link today, right? Don't do it in the chat. Direct message me the word real estate, and my team guys get it out to you today. Real simple, guys. All right, guys. Also, one last thing here, guys. If you're wanting to ask me any questions at all about any topics, politics, business, finance, family, marriage, things of that nature, you can ask me those questions on an app called Monect, right? Monect it's probably the hottest app on the planet right now when it comes to connecting with people, right? Ask me any questions you want. Pick my brain, whatever you want to do. Scan on the QR code or click on the link below, and you can send me a text message if you want to. You can have a video call with me as well also. Or you can send me a message and I can respond via video. You can pick my brain, or we can have a live phone call. You ask me any question that you want, right? Easily scan on the QR code right there or click on the link below and discuss at a time with me, guys. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. God bless you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Guys, again, Distressed Property Investing book. One last time, download it, scan on the QR code right here on the screen. Click on the link below or DM me the word real estate, guys. Want to ask me a question on my next? Here it is again, guys, for those right there. But, guys, thank you so much for the time. God bless you guys. You know how I end it every single time, guys, before you leave while you can. You see that? Oh, my bad, guys. Forget your partner, right? Every Friday at 5 p.m. CST, Cliff and I do something called Real Estate Friday Live, guys. We do it live. Here is a little bit of a preview, guys, so you can see what we're talking about. Here we go.
What's good, baby? It's your boy Dale. I'm back in the saddle again. Our motto is to buy, build. We already bought it already, so we already own it, free and clear. Refinance to long-term debt, cash flow. That is the motto. Cliff, man, is that a pretty strong motto, man? What do you think?
Man, the model is strong. Like, you're getting each piece of the invest, right?
Again, guys, this is Real Estate Friday, every Friday at 5 p.m. CST. Your partner. Well, and Cliff and I, we're talking about Real Estate Friday. We're going to talk about everything, what's going on in the current market. Come to what should you buy? Should you lease? We'll talk about all this stuff as well also. And we're going to talk about how cryptocurrency can drive down the mortgage rates. Be it tomorrow at 5 p.m. CST, guys, on this same platform, guys. But, guys, that's all I have for today, guys. You know, I end it every single time. You know, before I leave, and while you can, you see that thing, baby. Take that picture for your mom and them. Holler at your partner. God bless you guys. See you next time. All right, y'all. Peace. Okay, so you did fixes and flips first, or were they? Now it sounds like you're more buying whole. Okay, so you're wholesaling first. Okay,
because I was broke. I had no credit, had no money, so I had to get some money coming in. So I learned how to do wholesale.
And you were doing wholesaling at the good time too.
2000.
When it wasn't so saturated. There was.
I kind of saw the debacle coming. Okay, it didn't make any sense. I was like, wait a minute, how can you lend out to retail buyers 99.7%?
Yeah,
just a little bit of a down tick. It's insolvent.
And you got to remember, in some states, because I lived in Florida at the time, you could have loan to value above 100% of your property.
Right.
The first property that I bought, it was 110%. We left the bank with like $30,000.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
It was amazing to me. I was like, why am I not doing this all the time? But then clearly 08, 09 let me know why people shouldn't have been doing that all the time.
08, 09, that's why I made a lion's share of my money.
Wow.
People
okay.
were actually running from the cows. I was running to it.
Of course.
Because I saw it was coming.
Okay.
A lot of my business colleagues back then were buying flippers.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was wise for me to share 50% of my profit with Uncle Sam. He didn't do no work.
Okay.
So why would I give him free money?
Of course.
Okay, how can I make sure I'm still legal, but keep the lion's share of the cash flow?
Of course.
So I began studying the tax code with my accountants and CPAs, and I said, okay, I'm going to buy a whole lot of properties. Now watch this. I actually buy a lot of properties. I take home money when I actually acquire it. Every single time.
Okay, you need to break that down just a little bit.
If you wanted to know how successful real estate investors make money with their acquired real estate and not when they sell it, click on the link below or swipe up and download our free ebook, Distressed Property Investing. The blueprint is in the ebook. Stay blessed, holla at your partner, and download the ebook today.